Okay, so into the last session, we have seen that how this particular AI agent is answering or giving a response of all the opportunities which this particular logged in user has, right? But how exactly this is fetching the current user's account ID into this website, right? How exactly this my first agent is doing this thing, right? So basically, what I have done here is into this particular component, into this site, I do have deployed one LWC component which fetches the current users record ID, and which current users, this logged in users, right? So this user, once we get the user's record ID, right, which is this one, this record ID, based on this record ID we can fetch this particular my person accounts record ID as well, right? So how exactly we are doing this? So once we are able to fetch this record ID of the current logged in user, this particular record ID will be passed to the embedded service deployment, this embedded service deployment. Then embedded service deployment will pass it to the messaging session, and then messaging session will pass it to the omni-channel flow, right, where we are where we are transferring this particular chat to the AI agent, right? So let me quickly show you how exactly it happens. This is your messaging session, right? And this is, let's say, your logged in user, right? So basically, as soon as customer opens the chat or maybe loads this page, the LWC will get called, right? So there is an hidden LWC, right? There is no HTML of this LWC component. That's why you cannot see any LWC component placed here, but somehow into the backend it is placed, right? So based on that LWC, it is that particular LWC's work is to get the record ID of this current users, right? So this LWC will get user ID of current logged in users record ID, and that record ID will be passed to the embedded service deployment. This embedded service deployment will pass this to messaging session, messaging channel, sorry, messaging channel, and this messaging channel will pass that record ID to the omni-channel flow, omni-channel flow, and this omni-channel flow will use this record ID and store it to the current messaging session object, messaging session record, right? So we know that as soon as a user clicks onto the chat icon, one messaging session record gets created, and into that messaging session object, we will create a field of account ID, and that account ID will be populated by this omni-channel flow, right? So let's see how it works, right? Okay, so here is this LWC component, right? And this component is doing nothing but into the connected callback. This is fetching the current user's record ID using this statement, and once it gets the record ID of current user, it will just pass one custom event, right? And the name of that custom event is current user ID, right? Nothing else, right? This is just a simple LWC component. Now I just have placed this LWC component into the site. So let me just show you site, and let me just open this builder. So this is the LWC component which I have created, right? So community home, if you see here, the name of this particular component master label is community home, right? So this is also populating here. So this is the LWC component which I have created, right? And this LWC component is whenever this page gets loaded, this LWC component is fetching the record ID of current logged in user, right, and passing it to the custom event, right? Now there should be something or someone who can fetch or who can listen to that event into this site, right? So who is that? You just need to go to the settings, into the advanced, just go to the builder first, community site builder, go to the advanced, and here you'll see something called as edit head markup, right? So into this you just have to write one javascript script, right? So this is nothing but add event listener. So we are just using window dot add event listener. Which event we want to listen? This current user id event, right? So this is the event which we want to listen, and based on this event e.detail.id, we are just getting that record id and storing it into the current user id. Current user id is nothing but a variable of local variable of this javascript, right? Now as soon as we get this current user id, and what current user id? This logged in users record id, right? So basically we are getting this particular users record id, this record id, right? Now once we get the current user id, we are just using window dot add event listener, and the new event is on embedded messaging ready, right? So basically we are just calling the embedded service deployment, and we are just using this embedded service bootstrap pre-chat api, and into the hidden pre-chat field we are just mapping the current user id which we got from here to this current user id, right? Okay, so this current user id is nothing but this variable, right? And this current user id is a pre-chat field which we have created into the embedded service deployment. So when I said you that once this lwc component gets the record id, it will pass it to the embedded service deployment. So let me quickly go to the embedded service deployments, and this was the embedded service deployment which is being used. And into this embedded service deployment you need to go to the pre-chat and edit pre-chat, right? So let's create it. Okay, before that you have to go to messaging channel. So go to the messaging settings, and this is our messaging channel. And here you just need to scroll down until you find the custom parameters, right? So you just need to create one custom parameter, right? So you just need to click on new button and give one parameter name, right? So you can give any parameter name, data type should be string, and what is the maximum length you can provide it, right? So as we are only storing the record id, so maximum it would be 18 characters, right? So once you create one parameter here into the messaging channel, you just need to go to the embedded service deployment, and here into the pre-chat form we have two things. One is the visible pre-chat fields and one is the hidden pre-chat fields, right? So you just need to move this current user id, which is messaging session variable, not messaging session, messaging channel parameter which we have created. Just move this current user id variable from this window to this box, right? So now it is into hidden pre-chat fields, right? And make sure to activate this pre-chat feature and save it, right? So up till now what we have done here is this current user id is now being mapped, right? Why? Because we have one pre-chat field now, right? So once you are done with this, make sure to go to the security and privacy, and here into the clickjack protection level you just need to allow it. By default it would be no protection, but you just need to select the recommended one, right? So allow framing by the origin only. Now once you are done with this, up till now what we have done is we just have placed one lwc component, and this lwc component is passing one event, right? And into this event we have the user's record id, right? User id. Now this event there should be someone who can listen to this event, right? So there is an into the experience side we have something called as edit head markup. So here we are just writing one javascript code, and this is where we are listening to this event, right? So once we listen to this event and fetch the record id of this user, we are just storing it into the pre-chat pre-chat field, and this pre-chat field was created into the messaging channel. Right, once the messaging channel pre-chat field is created, we just went to the embedded service deployment and make it as available fields, right? Okay, now once you are done with this, you again have to go to the what's a messaging settings. Open the messaging settings, open this my website channel, and here you just need to go to the parameter mappings into the just scroll down till the bottom and create a new parameter mapping. So up till now we just got that record ID of current user from LWC to the this messaging channel, right? Now we just want to pass this record ID from this messaging channel to the omni-channel flow which we have used, right? So you just need to click on new and create a record, right? So I already have created this record. Parameter name is current user ID, which is this parameter, nothing else, right? Parameter API name is again the current user ID with this API name, and then channel variable name. Channel variable name means whatever channel's variable name you want to use, right? So you can just type it as current user ID only, and then it is asking us for the flow variable flow variable name. So inside the flow, so while you are passing this record, while you want to pass this record ID from this messaging channel to the flow omni-channel flow, so there should be some variable into this omni-channel flow which can accept this parameter, right? So that into that flow omni-channel flow there is an current user ID variable, right? And which omni-channel flow? If you scroll up, we do have this omni-channel flow, right? So let me open this. So here if I show you, there is a variable called as current user ID, right? So this is the same name. You just need to copy this name and paste it over here. Flow variable name, just click on new and you can create a new variable, right? So you just need to paste the same exact name which you are using into the flow. So now it knows that this messaging session current user ID should be mapped with the flows current user ID, right? This is how simple it is. Now we got the current user's record ID into this flow, right? And this is the exact flow which we are using as part this is the exact flow which we are using into the into our AI agent, right? So whenever you want to pass a chat to the AI agent, you have to use the inbound omnichannel flow, and this is the same flow which we are using. So once we get the current user ID into the flow, we are just using this get current user details element, right? So here we are just using object should be user, and we are just putting some requirements that user ID equals to current user ID, and we are just fetching the record of this user, right? This user. Once you get the record of this user, only the first record, once you get the record, we just want to update this messaging session object, right? So we know that as soon as you click onto onto the chat icon, one messaging session record gets created, and once it gets created, we are just updating this particular messaging session record, right? And we are just updating the account ID of this messaging session, right? So if I show you, I just have created one account ID field into this messaging session object. Go to the fields, and here I have created this account ID field underscore C. It means it is a custom field, right? Text 20, right? So now I'm just updating this particular record, this particular variable into this flow, right? Account ID is nothing but get current users dot contact dot account ID. So it means that into the current messaging session, I just have updated this account ID value to this person account's value, right? How we just into this previous element, we just got this user's detail, And this, based on this user's detail contact.account.id, we are just updating this account ID field of messaging session, right? So now and then we are just passing this complete chat to the we are just routing this work to the AI agent. So before your chat or your work gets assigned to the AI agent, being passed to the AI agent, before that only we are just updating the current messaging session, right? So if I now is the time to open the agent, right? So let's go to the setup. We were already on setup. Let me Agentforce. I know it's a little complicated process, but once you understand the basic concept, it will become more easy to you, right? So I'll definitely show you the complete concept onto the whiteboard after this, right? So this was my first service agent. Open in builder. Okay, so once everything is done, right? So here into the context, this is where we have the context or session variables, right? So you just need to go to this context into the agent builder, left hand side, go click onto the context, and here we have context variables. Context variables is nothing but messaging session. So once you click onto the message icon, chat icon, one messaging session record gets created. So if I click onto this, you will see all of the fields available into the messaging session object, right? So here we have two types of fields. One is the included fields and one is the excluded fields. So if I show you, if you see here, there are 39 total fields, right, into this messaging session object, right? And out of those 39, this particular agent only have access to these four fields, right? Because these are appearing into the included fields, and rest are excluded. It means that these fields, like this particular agent, do not have access of these fields, right? So how we can include these fields as well? So you just need to deactivate this agent, and then you will find one button of edit included fields. Let's click onto this, and then you just need to select any field and save included fields, right? So for now I'll just cancel it. So we see that right now this account ID variable is also included. It means this agent has the access of account ID field, right? Now let me just show you a topic, fetch opportunity. So into this topic I just have configured that this topic retrieves all the opportunities associated with the user based on their account ID, right? And I just have given it some instruction that use the session variable account ID to retrieve opportunities. So before your chat comes to this AI agent, we already have mapped the account ID of some current messaging session to the current user's account ID, right? And where we are mapping it into this flow, right? And then we are transferring the chat. So before you transfer the chat, you make sure to update the messaging session, right? So that this agent should have the access of messaging, should have the access of account ID variable, right? Then pass the account ID to the apex action. So basically now we have into this particular agent we have the access of this account ID field. So whenever a user asks about his open opportunities or available opportunities, it will just pass the get the record ID from this flow. Basically it will just use this context variable account ID and pass it to the apex section to get the opportunities, right? So here this is just we I just have let's say added few instructions. Pass the account ID to the apex action. If the account ID is unavailable, prompt the user to provide it, and this, right? So once the agent selects this particular topic, it will just call this fetch opportunities apex class, and here is my apex class. This is just getting the list of account IDs, and based on those account IDs, this is just fetching and sending the name, amount, and stage name of of the available opportunities, right? Now Once it gets the opportunities, it will just show you onto the UI, right? So let me just quickly show you here onto this site. I'll just refresh this site once. So once I refresh this page, there is an LWC component, and this LWC component is getting the record ID of this current logged in user, and this logged in user current record ID is being passed to the embedded service deployment. How? Using the custom events, right? Once the embedded service deployment gets the user ID, it will just pass it to the what's say messaging session will pass it to messaging channel, and messaging channel will pass it to the omni-channel flow, this omni-channel flow, and then omni-channel flow uh, is mapping the this particular record ID to the ID to the account ID of current messaging session, right? And now, as soon as I click onto this chat icon, I'll just again, I just have passed one message, how many opportunities do I have? So it is just this agent now has the access of current messaging session, right? So it means the context variables. Now it has the account ID, and account ID again has the let's say account ID has the value of that my person account's record ID, and based on that record ID, it is getting the opportunities from the Apex class. So if I show you quickly, let me show you messaging session. Okay, so this is the current messaging session which is still open. You see 7th of January. So if I click here, go to the details, and here you see account ID is being populated, and from where it is being populated? From the flow, right? Okay, so if I go back here, so this is how we can get the this is how we can create the context variable or session variables and use it to get the details of any user's query, right? Also see, let me open this whiteboard. Now see, whenever we are clicking onto this chat icon, one AI agent is coming up, right? Now this AI agent can have like any user can ask questions to this AI agent, right? And AI agent do have two options, right? One is ask the user for the basic details, right? Every time whenever a user comes to this AI agent can ask for them for more details, right? Or else we can have one session variable where we can store some basic information about this user, right? So that every time AI agent do not really need to ask for the basic information, right? So we are just following this particular second method, right? And how into this website we have this LWC component. LWC component is getting the current user's record ID, right, and passing it using the event. Now there should be someone who can listen to this event, and that someone is nothing but your ESD, means embedded service deployment. Into the embedded service deployment we just have what say this markup, where we are just using this add event listener, and we are just storing this current user ID into this current user ID variable, right? And we are just passing this to the messaging channel, and this messaging channel will pass it to the omni-channel flow. And omni-channel flow is a place where we are just updating our messaging session record ID, messaging session record with the current account ID, right? So this is how we can use and we can create the context variables, right? So here are the context variables. Onto the left hand side, click on context, and these are the variables. Included fields means your AI agent can access these fields, and excluded fields means your AI agent cannot access these fields, right?